It was not long ago that South Kent School was in deep trouble. South Kent is a tradition-bound prep school of 125 boys in rural Connecticut. Recently, it suffered from sagging academics, poor morale, and an enrollment that had dropped by 1/3. Its headmaster, Andy Vadnais, understood that to save his school, he would have to do something radical. Where was this school at its lowest point?
At its lowest point, it was having difficulty recruiting students. It was having difficulty retaining students. It was having difficulty meeting expenses. The word out there was South Kent is, 1 or 2 years away from closing its doors.
Vadnais wasn't going to let that happen to his beloved school. Although South Kent's academic problems had been fixed, its previous reputation refused to go away. And with a tuition of a little over $25,000 a year, students were not beating a path to its door. Knowing that he had to change the school's image fast, Vadnais hit upon an unlikely solution. He would turn tiny South Kent into a national powerhouse in basketball. Enter the high-flying Cardinals, who migrated here from cities all across America, as well as Ireland, England, and Burkina Faso in West Africa. Together, they have taken the school's former image problems and slam dunked them into oblivion. How did you build a basketball team? You were coming up from scratch.
I hired the right coach.
Okay, this is what you're going to do. Like you're coming off the screen.
Enter Rafael Chilius, a coach who knows his way around the high school basketball scene. When he got the job, the players he'd recruited for his previous school, some among the top athletes in the country, followed him to South Kent.
Let's go.
The league they play in is called the Prep League. It is the most competitive league in high school sports. Tell me about your league. In terms of basketball, it's a tough neighborhood.
Very tough neighborhood. I don't think there's a tougher neighborhood in America. The New England Class A Prep School League has to be the toughest in the country. Currently, 4 of our teams in our league are in the top 6 in the country.
How are you doing against them?
We're doing very well. Last weekend, we beat the #1 team in the country who was in our league, and beat the #4 team in the country who was in our league.
Wait a minute, you beat the #1 team in America and the '4 team in America in your first season?
Absolutely.
What's the competition in the league? How good are they? These 3 players are part of the reason why. 6'6" Cheyenne Moore is on the far right. 6'8" Darrell Wright is next to him. And on the left is Jermaine Middleton, 7'3" and a half. You guys know a lot of basketball players. You got a lot of pals all across the country. When you tell them that you're at South Kent, what do they say?
We're South Kent. We're South Kent. Oh, we can beat you guys.
They're not saying that anymore.
And now, here are your South Kent Cardinals at point guard, captain, 6'1" from Baltimore, Maryland, number 33, Jack McClinton.
Most of South Kent's graduating ball players are heading straight for Division I schools on full athletic scholarships.
Okay, Paul, that's the one we talked about in the game. Can't have 2 on the ball. Okay?
Skeptics might say they're basketball mercenaries, hired guns brought here to market South Kent in return for the passing grades they need to get into college. Although this sort of thing happens all the time, Andy Vadnais says it isn't happening here.
You ask them that. When you interview them, ask them, and they're going to tell you. Nobody gives them anything here in terms of they have to earn everything they get.
I've never really read any books when I was growing up. This is my first place that I've actually read my first book.
What books have you read that you like?
I read A Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare.
Did you like the Shakespeare?
Oh yeah, I love Shakespeare. Yeah, because that's like Shakespeare as a guy. It's cool.
My English teacher, she's on me so tough. She comes to my room at night to make sure I'm doing my work. That's unheard of at home.
She's checking on you.
Yeah, they all check on us, really.
And the best thing about it, all your teachers stay on campus, too. So if you need help, you can just walk down to a dorm or your dorm parents' house, and your teachers are right there helping you.
Rafael Chilius, who teaches psychology and history when he's not on the basketball court, was attracted to South Kent because he felt its emphasis on academics and character development would help the players.
You got to get up a certain time in the morning. You have to be at class on time. You have to go to chapel. You know, you have to be at dinner at a certain time. You have to wear a shirt and tie, you know, and a jacket. You know, some of that stuff is really unheard of.
And while the team was learning to mind its P's and Q's, their classmates were learning the ABCs of rooting for them. You actually had to teach the student body how to be sports fans.
We don't have a home court advantage because our fans are too polite. The kids didn't know how to cheer. They didn't know how to be loud.
Loudness was not in the South Kent lexicon. Founded in 1923 on the principles of self-reliance, simplicity of life, and directness of purpose, this Episcopal school could not have predicted that salvation would come through basketball, or that basketball would be the tool to market its traditional beliefs. Darrell Wright came to the Elysian fields of South Kent from the mean streets of South Central LA.
I had about 11 friends that got killed since 4 years of high school. Basically died gang-related stuff, or that wasn't even in the gangs and just got shot for no reason, just being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
11 of your friends from school killed in LA.
Yeah.
For Jermaine Middleton, the transition from California to Connecticut was a little scary. I'm told a story about your first week here and the noise in the wild.
Oh, yeah. I was looking for my dorm and couldn't find it. So I'm hearing like rattlesnake noises and all kinds of stuff. And I'm thinking, deers. I'm thinking there's a rattlesnake. So I'm like freaking out.
What did it turn out to be?
Tree frogs.
Tree frogs?
Yeah.
But behind the humor, there is a pitfall. How will these young men of modest means and working class backgrounds be affected by living in a tightly knit and fairly affluent community? Tony Maroney, who came to South Kent 2 years ago, wasn't sure that it would work.
I was excited, yet I also didn't know if they were going to be too cocky or they're going to try and separate themselves from the school. When they came to school, not many people knew them. They all hung out together. And once they felt the community itself, we all came together and it was like one big family again. I think everybody accepted them as soon as they came on campus, and they accepted us as soon as they got the chance for them to get to know us.
Getting to know people at South Kent isn't hard. There are seldom more than 8 kids in a class, and when it's someone's birthday, everyone sings along.
Happy birthday to you.
Spend any time at all at South Kent, and you are soon aware that the affection between the team and the rest of the school is real. Tomorrow, he may be in the NBA. Today, he's just another student, albeit one you look up to.
And over here, Mike, we have the school's library.
Trip Darren is South Kent's Director of Admissions. Give me a sense, then, of how your environment has changed in admissions before basketball and since.
I'm a lot busier. We're fielding phone calls, all day long. I actually have been bugging the board of trustees to hire a new staff member for me because we can't currently handle all the correspondence we're getting from families.
No one was talking about South Kent before.
Right.
What basketball gave you was word of mouth?
In a way, yeah. It created excitement that people talked about. And once people started talking about South Kent, the hope is that they'll start to hear about other things that are going on in our classroom. It's interesting that we made incredible strides in our academic programs, but yet no one heard about us. And it took the sports to get people to talk.
At 6'8", from Los Angeles, California, number 3, Mr. Darrell Wright.
So here we go, New Hampton and South Kent.
You're listening to South Kent Prep Basketball.
It's the last home game for the South Kent Cardinals.
And Darrell looking to run, taking it down the length of the court himself. Over the shot! Oh! Alley-oop!
And a win against New Hampton, which beat them by 2 points earlier in the schedule, would be a glorious ending to a glorious season. When we first heard about South Kent's basketball program, we thought we'd find a school that had put sports ahead of academics simply to stay in business. What we found was something else.
This really is a special group of players here at South Kent, and this is the last time these fans are going to see these kids play.
A school that is using basketball to market itself without neglecting the values that have kept it alive for 81 years.
3 seconds, the last shot of the season. What a year. What a year.
Since we visited South Kent, Darrell Wright was picked up by the Miami Heat in the first round of the NBA draft. Coach Rafael Chilias recruited a brand new team of players, including the best 7-footer in high school hoops. Going into this new basketball season, Little South Kent is ranked number 4 in the